All right. Howdy, everybody. This is Take.
Hi, I'm Richard.
Now, we are broadcasting from Okayama, Japan to the world.
And you're watching Take's Bluegrass Hero interviews.
Yes, that's right. In this series, we explore the lives and the contributions of the remarkable individuals who have shaped bluegrass music and who I consider my heroes.
Our guest today is Michael Anderson, one of the members of Bluegrass Gazette.
Absolutely. Michael was the lead vocalist of the legendary Roanoke in the late 1970s. That's when he became my hero. Michael, we are so happy to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. It's a little early here on the Texas time, but I think
Yeah.
we can do this.
Michael, now you have such a soft and mellow voice, a sound that helped make Roanoke truly a one of a kind. We'll come back to that voice and your Roanoke years a little later, but to begin, I'd like to take you back all the way to your childhood. I understand you started playing music at a young age, backing your grandfather, a fiddler and storyteller, in the Norwegian community of Norse-Texas. What was that musical and cultural environment like for you?
Well, it was of course I was pretty young at that time, so now that I'm older in my life, it I didn't probably take advantage of it as much as I would have liked back in those days, but I was introduced to my grandfather playing the violin or fiddle, I guess you could say, because we played fiddle tunes, and my mother played harmonica. And every time we'd have a family gathering and all, well, of course, it was the center of attention to be able to play music with them. So my mother had me come over and I'd start strumming guitar and playing rhythm guitar behind all these fiddle tunes. Mother being a harmonica player, it was kind of neat to see how the fiddle tunes were on a harmonica. And she had that what the harmonica players call that harmonica tongue, where you could play all those fiddle tunes and do them. My grandfather, he was up in his years by the time I had met him, but he could still play. And so we sat around. My grandmother played piano some whenever she could, but it was harder on her to play the fiddle tunes than stride piano. So it was mainly just me and my mother and my grandfather. And of course, between every song, and we'd sit around and play, and they'd tell the stories of back when they used to play and they had back in I guess probably the early 1920s, they had a band called the Jensen String Band. And that had three brothers and two sisters that played. And they traveled around doing what they called the barn dances back then. And they'd be on a little wagon, and they'd go play the barn dance and get back on that wagon late in the evenings and let the horses take them back home. And pretty interesting stories that they would tell about the dances and the things that they would play. So I'd imagine music back in, especially in that Norse community, was a pretty important gathering for them to do. There was actually a fiddle maker that was from that area, and I never knew really who that was or where the violins all went. That we found my grandfather's violin, and by the time I'd heard him playing it and all, but by the time we got to where we were playing together, I had to take it and get it all refurbished and get the bow reheard and things like that, because it was in pretty bad shape. But he still played it. He still played it all the time. And so that was interesting. And then I ended up finding a mandolin for him, and that was a lot of fun for him to play the mandolin. And but it was a lot of fun. That's what we did. But mainly we played around in the living room when the families got together. Had a big family, the Jensen clan. That was my mother's side of the family. All of them full blood Norwegian. So it was kind of interesting to hear the different dialects, and some of them still spoke Norwegian, and that was kind of fun to try to understand. But that's what we did. Played the old fiddle tunes, played things like Turkey in the Straw, and mainly dance tunes, Over the Waves, and Red Wing. Red Wing was always a big popular one. Anybody ever asked us to play, that's the one they liked to hear, was Red Wing. So it was a lot of fun. But that's what we did. They got me to come over and just started playing rhythm guitar, and I think that was how I got started. just being able to pick these songs out and play them.
That's a very interesting introduction to music and your playing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it really was. I was very blessed.
Sounds great, Michael. Well, as a teenager growing up in Texas, the land of Bob Wills, what kind of music were you drawn to? Did Western swing play a role in shaping your sense of rhythm, phrasing, or vocal style? I've noticed you've recorded some fine swing numbers later on.
Hmm. Yeah, of course, Texas is known for its Western swing. So I heard a lot of Western swing and played a lot of Western swing, I guess you could say, when it was first starting out, because you really couldn't play places without having played dance music, and people love to dance in Texas. So mainly we played dance music. And Bob Wills, of course, was if we had a fiddle player around, well, that was always a big request to play anything but Bob Wills. So it's from Turkey, Texas, which is a few miles away from where I'm at here. But he has a big festival still that goes on all the time, the Bob Wills Festival. But yeah,
Is it okay? Your video is a freeze.
Yeah, it seems locked up.
Yeah. Is it working over there?
Oh, starting up again.
Anyway.
there got your connection back.
You're back. Okay, good.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm back. Yeah. So that was where my big roots were from early bluegrass, because we had a bluegrass band in high school, and we were called the Sunset Harmony Boys. And a wonderful time for us, because we were able to represent our high school at other schools. So we figured that out pretty quick, that we could get out of a lot of school by going over to other schools during school time and representing our school. So that was a lot of fun. And of course, back in those days, in the 60s like that, in late 60s, early 70s, that's when Hee Haw, if I don't know if you all remember Hee Haw, which was a television show here, Roy Park and things like that. Of course, they made bluegrass kind of a novelty, I guess you could say. So we would dress up in our overalls and hats and things like that, and had our regalia on, and go and play different places. And became pretty popular in the area here in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, as the Sunset Harmony Boys. And that was a lot of fun. One of the Sunset Harmony Boys actually was George Giddens, and the original ones. He's actually with the Dillards right now.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting to see where he went. And then most of the other guys are pretty well passed on, except for me and Terry. And that's who I'm playing with now, is Terry Razor. He was one of the original Sunset Harmony Boys with me and George, and a couple other guys who have passed. And we're still playing together now. I don't see George much. He's out in North Carolina here in the United States. And but he still travels with the Dillards when they play. And me and Terry are still together doing a duo, sometimes a trio, and sometimes there's four of us, but mainly it's just the two of us. And playing a lot of festivals. We do a lot of music festivals here in Texas, Texas music festivals mainly, with Texas music. And then I play some solo. I do some solo with my ukulele. I got into ukulele here about probably 10 years ago, I guess it was. And that's what got me back kind of in the music scene again. I was excited. Terry had my buddy I'm playing with now. He had put out an album and recorded one of my songs on it. And I got a knock on the door, and I was delivered a little plaque that said, "Thank you for contributing to my album." And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting to be remembered. And I decided that I'd like to play again, but I just didn't want to go be a strumming guitar player, singer, sitting in the restaurants, So I found the ukulele, and that just opened up all kinds of doors in my life as far as the songwriting, and ended up putting out 2 CDs of recent, I can say recent, within the last 10 years. And I've got another one ready to be released, but I got to do all the rest of it. COVID kind of shut that down for a little bit, so it hadn't been really brought back up yet, but still working on that particular one.
That's great.
So that's where that's.
I'm sorry.
No, that's kind of where I've kind of full circle there about that. But our biggest influence, probably even that we'd even do now, was the Flying Burrito Brothers. Because Birds was a little bit more rock and rolly from what we were into at that time, but the Burrito Brothers kind of came out with the music that we like to do. And so I got with a couple of different bands every time we'd play, especially if we had drummers and all. We did a lot of the old Burrito Brothers songs, and the old Sweetheart of the Rodeo album. That was we almost did every song on that particular album. So
That
it was
is
a
a
lot of fun.
classic, true classic
sir.
album in my mind. Is
Oh yeah, yeah, it was a good one. Good music.
Well, let's back to your high school band. What instrument did you play?
I played rhythm guitar.
A
Rhythm
rhythm
guitar. I
guitar
was a guitar player.
and lead vocal.
Yes, sir. Yeah, vocals.
Yeah.
That was why they called us the Sunset. Well, why we were Sunset Harmony Boys, because we had always 4-piece harmony, and sometimes we'd all sing. It was a 6-piece band, and so we had a lot of vocalists and a lot of harmony. Seemed like everything we did, we stressed the harmony of it because of the name, and it was just a lot of fun. And we'd get together and just have singing practices, and that was always a lot of fun with no instruments, just practice singing. So that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Good times.
did the band end when you graduated?
Not really. We when I graduated from high school, I went to college, and it just so happened 3 of the other players went to the same college. We all just went on up to college together, and we kept it going through the college band. We called it the Sunset Harmony Boys still, but we represented a college out here. And they sent us to the state fair and different places like that to represent the college. We, at that time, Terry Razor, who I played with up until that point, he did not go to college, and he kind of went off in a different direction with a Texas music band, and became real popular here in Texas as a Texas music that he played. And he's still very popular with the Texas music scene. So I was kind of fortunate to do my round of music and traveling and all, and now getting back with him, playing some of the same old songs we played back in the 70s. So it's a lot of fun. Plus, we do a lot of originals too.
Well, Roanoke has long been one of my all-time favorite bluegrass bands. And part of that, for me, as I mentioned before, has always been your voice. I was so fascinated by it that I couldn't help including sweet moments in my own repertoire. We'll return to your voice in more detail toward the end of this interview. But for now, could you tell us how you first became involved with Roanoke and how you came to be the lead singer?
Yes, that's an
If
interesting
Joker
story.
was, if Joker was part of that story, feel free to mention him. We'll go deeper into your relationship with him in a later section. Okay?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
as the Sunset Harmony Boys, we did some local festivals, bluegrass festivals here, and Joe Carr had a band at that particular time. I can't remember what the name of their band was, but it consisted of Gerald Jones was the banjo player with them, and Joe, and a couple other people that I didn't really know. Well, another stint that I had when I was right out of college. I still playing music some with the Sunset Harmony Boys, but a friend of mine had said, "You're not really gonna. I mean, guitar players, singers are just kind of a dime a dozen. If you wanted to keep playing music, you really ought to play bass or drums, and you'll just play forever." So I took that to heart. I had a little small music store that I opened up, and my friend wanted to sell his upright bass, so I had that upright bass in my shop. Never really played it much. And I saw an article in the Pickin' Music magazine. It's a bluegrass magazine, Pickin' Music. This would have been in probably 76. And I saw an ad in there. A band was looking for a bass player. And I knew most of the guys, it was the Roanoke band. And so I called them up and said, "Well, I'll play bass. I can play bass." I didn't, but I told them I could. And they came out and kind of auditioned me at my shop, and made the audition, I guess you could say. And we went right into festival season. We started off doing the Kerrville Festival, Kerrville Bluegrass Festival. That was one of the first festivals I did with them. And we became a band at that particular time. And for about 3 years, there was a place in the Texas area called the Chelsea Street Pub. And they were a 5-night-a-week club, a restaurant. and we started playing with them as the Roanoke band, and we'd spend a month in different cities around in Texas. It was a very good working environment for musicians that wanted to make a living playing music. So we did that as the Roanoke band. That's where I met. Of course, got to being real good friends with Joe. Joe is he's a treasure. You know, if Joe was still up there now, he'd be in that Hall of Fame in no time. He was one of the neatest musicians I'd ever been with. A good friend at that time too, and funny as he could be. He was our up front man till the end. Even with the Gazette, he had a humor that it was just very dry but very good humored person. So a lot of fun. He was our up front man. The Joe Carr, of course, y'all know. I'm sure you know a lot of the picking and all that he did. But he was a Clarence White fan, and he just played everything that Clarence White could and more. Very interesting because as my time with the Roanoke and with the Gazette, these guys they played all day long. They'd wake up in the morning, they'd get up and do their constitution, and then they just start practicing and playing, and they just played until the time we'd go out and play at night. It was amazing to see how these heroes, I guess you could say, how they really spend their time. I mean, they really put their time into their instruments, and it was really fun to watch. I was blessed to be able to be around that type of greatness, I guess you could say.
Sweet